Well, it's a pleasure to be with you. I'm back home. I grew up in Woodhaven, Michigan, and so it's a great pleasure to be here. In fact, if you know where McDonald's was on West Road, or is on West Road, I grew up right across the road from it. And I spoke with Janet Richards. Janet, are you here?
Yeah.
Janet, can you tell the group what you did with my parents in their White House on West Road? Can you?
Yes, it was a perfect place for political signs on West Road.
It was a perfect place for political signs on West Road. Janet knew my parents, and they always had Republican signs out front. They always had the American flag out front, and it kind of reminds me of Toby Keith. My daddy flew a flag out in our yard till the day he died, and that's true of my parents. And so that instilled in me a love for the country, to put America first. In fact, I remember as a youngster, when I was standing as a kid shopping with my dad, because his brother had fought in World War II, my dad would look at me and I would say, "Daddy, can I get this?" And he would say one of two things: get a job and you can buy it, you can spend whatever you want. But he would also say this. Now, it's not China, it was Japan back then. But he would always say to me, "Don't buy something that's made in China, buy something that's made in America." We're telling our kids. We're doing the same thing, but history has a way of repeating itself, and we're saying don't buy things made in China, because they're out to put us down and to destroy our nation. But tonight we're here. By the way, let me just say one other thing. My uncle, Uncle Ray, was the chief of staff at Seaway Hospital. I was born in Wyandotte Hospital, and I lived about 2 blocks from here for the first year of my life. So this area, as I said, is really dear to me as a downriver guy. But I just wanted to share a couple things with you tonight. We're here for the Constitution, and I have done a lot of research on the Constitution as the chaplain for the Michigan Police Chiefs, which, by the way, the Southeastern Chiefs of Police have endorsed me as their candidate for governor. And in February of this year, I presented to the Michigan Police Chiefs in Grand Rapids a presentation called "In God We Trust." And I defended the national motto historically, legally, and stated why we should have that motto on the back of every law enforcement car in Michigan. My friends, historically, that motto, "In God We Trust," is, I think it's the 4th verse of the national anthem. We sang the national anthem tonight, and John, sir, whoever you were, that was amazing. Thank you. That was very good. Thank you. But the 4th verse talks about our national motto being "In God We Trust." And that was back in the 1800s. And so that motto, "In God We Trust," has been part and parcel, and even the heartbeat of our nation. I have a book right here in front of me. It's called "The Godless Constitution." It was written in the 1990s, and the subtitle is "A Moral Defense of the Secular State." My friends, this book is garbage. Because our Declaration of Independence tells why we exist as a nation. Our Constitution defends how we are going to survive as a nation. The interesting thing is that even though the word God does not occur in the Constitution, and that's their thesis, God does not occur in the Constitution, so therefore it's godless. That is ridiculous as saying that just because you don't know something exists, it means it doesn't exist. In the Constitution, folks, let me just give you a couple quick things. And Pastor Deering, I don't mean to take your steam tonight, but in the Constitution, there are 3 branches of government. Where do they come from? Isaiah 33:22. In the Constitution, it says that the President of the United States must be born in America. Where does that come from? Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 15. You read the Constitution and it says that you cannot transact business on the Sabbath, on Sunday. Interestingly enough. So even though they say it's godless, there are so many references to the Bible that are in there that are ridiculous. And my friends, the references aren't ridiculous. There's so many that it's ridiculous. Well, let me just say this. I'm running for governor as a pastor because if we don't get God right, we will never get our nation back on track. see, when you get God right, the culture follows. George Washington said, religion and morality are what our nation is built upon. Those two words occur not only from the lips of almost every president in America, but those two words occur in our state constitution. Article Chapter 8, Section 1 says this: religion, morality, and education being necessary for good government and the happiness of people, education shall forever be established. Our state constitution addresses the issue of religion. If we don't get it back, it doesn't matter who you put in the office. If you don't understand that, my friends, we're going to lose our country. Because, and I've said this before, and Garrett knows this. Garrett and I agree. We agree on everything. We agree on the audit. We agree on the Second Amendment. I mean, I could go through the whole list. But unless you get God right, this culture will continue to go downhill. And the reason why is right now what we're seeing in America is everyone's doing that which was right in their own eyes. When there is no absolute by which to judge society, society becomes the absolute. As we think about our founders, they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. We are at a crossroads in America right now. My fear is that we will walk out of this room tonight and we'll have the same attitude that we did when we came in. And as a pastor, if you'll allow me to put on my pastor hat for a moment, I've said that so many times at church. My fear is that people come in on a Sunday morning and they walk out the same people. Unless you walk out of here with the desire to support candidates who believe what you believe, you're going to have rhinos back in Lansing. My friends, our founders pledged their lives, their fortunes, their sacred honor. 5 of them were tortured by the British and hung for treason. 12 of them lost everything that they had. Many of them died from wounds inflicted during the Revolutionary War. There was a man named John Muhlenberg, now with the story. John Muhlenberg was a pastor. George Washington asked him to run his 8th regiment in Virginia. John Muhlenberg spoke from Ecclesiastes chapter 3. He said, there's a time to be born, there's a time to die. There's a time for peace, there's a time for war. At the end of that sermon, he took off his robe, and underneath he had a Revolutionary War military uniform on. And he asked his congregation who's going with him. There were 80-some people who left the congregation that day, men who said, John, we're with you. We're joining the fight. At the end of that Sunday, there were 300 from the city who said, we're with you. His brother Frederick was a pastor, just like he was, but his brother Frederick was a pastor in New York City, and he said, John, you're overreacting. This is not a big deal. You don't have to worry about that, John. The British came into New York City, and they burned down his brother's church. And his brother said, I'm with you now. His brother became the first Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives. My friends, my question to you this evening is who is with me? We want... Our vision is to make Michigan a lighthouse to the nation. Up on the screen was a 3-minute snapshot of a speech I gave in Grand Rapids when General Michael Flynn and Mike Lindell were there. That was at the Boss Place, thousands of people in that room. On Facebook, if you go to Ralph Rebandt for Governor, you watch that 14-minute speech, you'll see why I'm running for governor. You'll see why I won't give up until the last breath I have. I'm willing to give my life in this country, and I'm willing to go all the way to the November ballot. Please support me. My name is Ralph Rebandt. Thank you for listening tonight.